further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to announce the winners. I want the winners to come up on stage so they can be in the limelight, and then I'll go through, actually walk through the process of how you could build those two phases of Model Mania 2019. So, customers first. Third place winner is Jeremiah Feist from Omnetics Corporation, Connector Corporation. Come on up, Jeremiah. I'm not sure because we have the conflicting sessions this morning. I'm not sure how many people will be able to attend, but we'll get the prizes to them, no doubt, some way. Second place winner is Tom Smith from Victaulic. Come on up, Tom. Woo! And our first place winner is Aiden Esice from Adnesis. Come on up, guys, if you're in the room. His winning time was 12 minutes and 7 seconds, so it was really fast. It was a really good job. This guy, if you look at that Adnesis and go do a Google search, I think he's down in Mexico somewhere, but I did a little poking around, and I looked at his website, and I see all these YouTube videos of Model Mania stuff, that past Model Mania parts that he must have redid. He must have done them in Spanish, so it's really kind of cool. So obviously he was well prepared. Our reseller champions, third place winner, Ike Diego from CADWorks. Ike, come on up. Second place winner, Susanna Smirkova from Solid Vision. Come on up, Susanna. And our first place winner is Alice Zalesny from Solid Vision as well. Obviously, the folks at Solid Vision were preparing quite well as well. Excellent. So I'll run through, the process of how you could model this part, and then we'll do the changes as well. So if I look at this drawing here, I'm going to take that view on the lower right-hand corner there, section AA. Most of the stuff I want to start with there, we're going to extrude that out. So that's where I'm going to start. Let's go ahead and get started on this. On the right plane, I'll create the sketch. Just going to draw a center line that sets my height of 22 millimeters. And then we're going to draw some circles. There are going to be 3 circles that I'm going to add here because I want to just capture all that information in one sketch. You don't need to do this, but one of the things that I personally like to do. 3 circles, 10, 16, 30. Actually, 16, 30 are called out on the drawing as radii. We don't need to do this, but just if you wanted to help yourself read follow along the drawing as you go, you'll know that those are radii. I'm going to pick up tangency on both the beginning and the end of that, so that I make sure that I capture that tangency, and I want this to be symmetric about my vertical center line there. Add a dimension at the bottom, and that sketch is fully defined. For those who took this, there's no need for an angle dimension on that side because everything else fully constrains it. I'm going to grab these contours, and I'm going to extrude this. It's about the mid-plane, 70 millimeters. This is going to be 70 millimeters wide. Remember that in phase 2. That 70 is important. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that same sketch, just reuse that information that we had captured before, and I'm going to make a cut. And I'm going to choose not the region, but the contour to make that cut. We'll extrude that about the mid-plane, 50 millimeters. So now what we want to do is we want to draft those 2 side faces in. There's 5-degree draft on each side of those 2 side faces, so I'm just going to choose the top plane as my draft reference. The direction of pull is indicated on the screen. 5 degrees is my draft. Go ahead and lift that up. Add some fillets. The top, these are going to be 2 millimeters. Just grab 3 faces here. It's all that's needed to capture all those fillets. Now this isn't necessary to add a color or an appearance to those fillets. I like to do it, just gives me a visual reminder of where my fillets are. Next thing we want to do is we're going to add a hole wizard hole. Use the hole wizard, folks. It's really a powerful tool. I don't have to look up all those sizes for those holes. I don't have to create 2 features in this case. And I'm adding a long Y relationship from the origin there. Once I add that along Y, it locks that sketch down. It's because I created it on that surface, it gave an on-surface relationship, and that hole wizard hole is fully locked. We ask you to apply the material and to enter the mass into the Model Mania Phase 1 program. So there's phase one. That's what we ask you to do. What we do then is we give you a drawing, another drawing, and we ask you to make a change to that same part. So here's the phase two drawing. I'm going to start in the lower left view there. Farthest to the left, 2XR30. So that tells me I need 2 radii on the outside of that. Those faces are drafted. If we look up, those are the same faces that we had before, but they're also drafted with that 5 degrees. Same view, we now have 2 counterbore holes, so we're going to go back into that hole wizard feature and add another hole in there. Then if you look at the, before I move on from that, the 2R30, those 2 arcs on the end, notice that we still have the 70 millimeter overall dimension, so we don't want to add material, we're just removing a little bit to round those edges off. Next thing we're going to do is look at that top view. We want to maintain that 50 millimeters between the centers of the 2 holes, but we need to add that 8 degrees of draft. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll do our simulation, which is apply 100 newtons to each of those faces, 2,000 total. And the load direction is up, fix the back face. So let's see how we did this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that material away and get those sides drafted in. So I'm going to sketch on the bottom face here. And I'm going to use a rectangle, center point rectangle. I'm going to use the from midpoints because that gives me a vertical center line as I sketch, and I'm going to use that for mirroring. Those 2 outer sides, I'm going to make those construction geometry, and then I'll add in a 3-point arc. Just draw a 3-point arc. We'll make that 3-point arc tangent to the overall width, which is 70. That captures my 70 as I go. We'll take and put a dimension on that, 30 millimeters, and we'll mirror that to the other side. So once I mirror that to the other side, I will have a closed contour, and I can use that to make an extrude cut. So I'll extrude that through all, but I'm going to choose the flip side to cut, because I want to cut material away on the outside. I don't want to cut the inside away, I'm going to cut material away on the outside. So that takes care of that. My draft fails, okay, I get it. Let's go in and edit that feature. I'm going to have some missing references, no problem. I don't even need to worry about those, because I'm going to reselect 2 new faces. And then when I choose to exit the command, it says, hey, I'll get rid of the missing references for you, so that's great. Easy way to add draft. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another plane. And this plane is going to go through the center axis of my model, parallel to the bottom plane. We're going to use that to add draft. Remember, draft can add material or it can remove material. So I'm going to choose that as my draft plane, and the 2 faces to get that 8 degrees of draft. And it's going to remove material at the top and add material at the bottom. A lot of people had a lot of painful ways to approach that, getting that draft done. So you can see that your fillets come through, no problem. Here's a little exercise in editing a 3D sketch. I'm just going to remove that relationship there to get rid of the along Y relationship. Drag this one over here. Whenever I place a point in 3D sketch on a face, it's going to give me the on-surface relationship. I'll put a construction line in here and make that along X. I want that to go along X. And then we're going to add, from the midpoint, we're going to add an along Y relationship to the origin, add a dimension, and that sketch will be fully locked down. So again, I encourage people to use the hole wizard. I saw all kinds of revolves, multiple cuts, applied planes, and you made it a little bit harder than it needed to be. So that's the modeling for phase 2. Modeling's all done. Next thing we want to do is we run simulation. You're allowed to use SOLIDWORKS Simulation or Simulation Express. In this case, I'm using SOLIDWORKS Simulation. We're going to apply a boundary condition of fixity to the bottom, make that bottom face fixed, and then we'll add force to the 2 circular holes there, the 10 millimeter holes, and those are going to go along the front direction, so the normal to the screen, I guess is what you would say. 1,000 newtons per item, so we get 2,000 total. We'll hit run. 2 seconds later, we get our results. There's our stress plot. I always like to animate this because it helps me understand, did the model behave as I expected? Yes, sure it did. So next thing we do is we ask for what is the factor of safety. So the factor of safety plot's already in there. It's right around 4. So that is Model Mania 2019. I'd like to give another big round of applause for all of our winners.